Almost every app uses the text widget, and in this video we will look at the different types of text which you can create and how you can create custom text and so on. To get started, we start here at our body property, and here inside of our list view I create a text, and inside of this text you can put a string, and this then will display here this text. And you also can increase the font size of this text, so you have a style property, and there inside goes the text style. And with this text style you can style your text in different ways. We want to make the font size bigger, so you put here the pixels inside of your font size, and now if you put here a higher value inside, then the text will be even larger, and you can play around with this value to find the right value for you. Let's create another text style. So I create here a new object of a text, and like before we have exactly the same font size, and now we modify here only the font weight. So we have here a property called font weight, and here inside you can define your boldness. And if I hot reload it right now, you see that we have here bold text. And you also can take here another boldness, so you can type here W, and then you can choose a value. The higher the value, the more it is bold, like you can see. And if you choose here a value which is lower, like 300, then you see almost no boldness. And this can be used if you want to differentiate the boldness in your app. I go here back to the bold level. Let's create another text widget. And here again we have the same font size like before, and we can also put here the attribute of font style, and then we put here font style italic inside, and this makes our font italic. So this is also an option which you have. And let's copy the text again. So we have here again the font size, and we put here in our text style also the attribute color inside. So you can choose here different colors for your text, and we choose it right now for blue. And basically you simply type colors and then type a dot, and then you have here all the colors, and you can choose between these colors which you have here. So you can also choose, for example, a red color, and then this text will be in red. Now we want to add a custom font size, and therefore we go to fonts.google.com, and here you can basically choose any font which you like. So I will simply take here the first one which I get, and then you also can play here around with the text. So you see here you can type your own text, and then you can play here around and see if it is the right text which you want to use. And if that's the case, then you simply click here on download family and go to your zip folder and also unpack this folder. And here inside you have this file which is TTF, and then you need to copy and paste it into your project. Therefore, we go here again to our project and create a new folder. So I've created already here this assets and fonts, and here inside you simply paste your file inside, and now it is here inside. And the next step to integrate your custom file is to go to the pubspec YAML file, and then you go here all the way down until you see Flutter, and below it you need to paste this here inside, and basically you need to align it here with this what you see here on the top. So make sure it has here the same alignment, and the other things you also need to align properly. So make sure that you tap here correctly, and it should look like this. And then you can choose here a font size family, and this is later what we want to use in our application. So name it, for example, like the font itself. And here inside of the assets, you need to point to the file inside our project folder. So basically we are going here to the assets and to the fonts, and here inside you need to take exactly the same name as you have here, and you put it here inside. And now you need to restart your application and start it again from new. And back in our main file, we create here another text, and we have here some font size already inside. And next to it, we want to put here in our text style this custom text, which we have loaded before. So we create here a font family, and then you need to make sure that you put here the font family of this inside. So copy this name here, and then you go back to the main file and paste it here inside. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have our custom text. And this is exactly the text from this web page which we have selected here. So you can choose any text which you like and then have your custom text displayed here inside. Let's create also here another text object, and this time we want to create a custom text too without importing anything from the outside. So we simply create here in our text style a new property foreground, and now we can paint here our own text. So you create a paint object, and then you have here the flexibility of this paint, and this has a lot of properties. So if you type here ... you see all the things what you can change, and we want to use here the style property of this paint, and then you can set it here with equals, and after it you can define, for example, that the painting style should be stroke. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have exactly this text, and to make it more clear we can also add here the font weight, and then we set it here to bold, and you see it is much clearer now. And we also have here the possibility to adding a stroke width, so we can increase the width of our line, and then it looks like this. And you can also set here a different color property, so you can choose any color which you like, and then we have it like this displayed, for example. And with this one you can create your own custom text and paint it like you want to paint your text. Let's create a next text widget. And here in our text style, we first of all add a color. So we have here this red text, and now we want to add a shadow. And this is pretty simple. In our text style, we also have the property of shadows. And here you can define different shadows which you like. So you create here a shadow object, and inside of this shadow object, you can define the color of this shadow. So if I now hot reload, you might see a little bit black. However, we also need to add here a blur radius, so you see that it is showing here more black. And if you have here a higher value inside, then the blur radius increases and you have more black. So you can change it, and then it looks always different. So play around with this value. I will put it again to 2. And to make this shadow effect more in 3D, you have here this offset property. So you can set here the X coordinate and the Y coordinate, and then the shadow will move 2 pixels to the right and 1 pixels down. And if you do this, then it looks like this, for example, and you can play around with this value to create your individual shadow. If you take here a high value, then it doesn't look too great because he put here 8 pixels to the right, and then it looks like this. So in most cases, you don't want to put it too high, this value. In our next text widgets, we want to look at the spacing. So we can have spacing in our words. So we create here in our text style a word spacing property, and then you can set here the pixels between each word. And now we have here 16 pixels between each word, and you can also decrement it or increment it. So let's say you put here 25, and now if I hot reload, you see that we have here more spacing between all of our words in this text. And we also have the same thing for letter spacing. Therefore, we create here a new text widget, and inside of our text style, we have the property of letter spacing, and the default letter spacing is somewhere around 1. And now if I put here higher value inside, you see that we have here 2 pixels between our letters, and it looks different than the text here above. And you can also put your higher value inside to every time increase the spacing between your letters. Now we want to look at different variants of multiline text. So we create here a new text widget, and now we can use here \n inside of our text. So here inside I can add a \n, and this will make us a new line. And then you can add some text, and this will look like this. We have then this text, then comes the new line, and then we have another text. And you can basically create a new line again, and then you put here your other text inside. So we have right now 3 lines here. And you see here also that we have a little bit spacing before, so you also can increase here the spacing, and it will be reflected inside of our application. And I will also quickly put here this text to a color of white and put here a container in the color of green around, because then you can later check the source code out and try it out on your own and see here the different kind of text which you can use. And you can get the source code with the first link in the description, and with the second link in the description you can get my Flutter course where I teach you how you can become a more efficient Flutter developer. Let's create a new container with a color of white inside. So we have here this text object, and around we have the color of red. And now next to the style property we also have a property of max lines, and you can simply put it here inside, and then this text will have only 3 lines. So even if we write here much more text inside, it doesn't matter because the text will not show here up. And you can also change it to 4 lines, then only 4 lines will be here displayed in our application. So you can play around with this. And if you, for example, have 3 lines, then you can also put here at the end some dots inside. And how you do this is by adding this overflow property inside of your text widget, and then you set it here to text overflow ellipses, and then you will see that we get here some dots if our text is larger, and if it is not larger, so if we have 3 lines, then this will not appear here. So we put it, for example, to 3 lines, and he has enough space, then he will not put the 3 dots here inside. In the next text widget, we see that we also can use here the text align property. And with this one, you can align the text to the left, to the right, or to the center. And then you simply put your text align center. And now if I hot reload, you see that the text is centered. And you also can add here other things inside. So put here, for example, right inside, and the text will appear on the right side. And this is especially also useful if you have multiple lines. And for example, I put here more text inside, then you see that everything is aligned to the right side. And if I put here center inside, then also the more lines we have all are here aligned to the center. I will simply delete here this text again. It was only for demonstration. Let's also look at how we can create this counter here. So every time if you press on a button, we change the text. And this is also what you can do easily. So you create here a new widget, and it is a stateful widget. And here inside of our state object, we can create our text object. But first of all, let's add here a counter variable. And this will be our counter, which you see here below. So here you see a 3, and this will be our counter. And now we create here a text and put this counter inside of our text widget. So here we have the text counter text, and now if I hot reload, you see that we have the counter text here displayed like normal. And if you want to reference this counter variable inside of the text, you simply can write here a $, and then after it your variable. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have here this 0 inside. And if I would change it, for example, to 2 and hot restart this application, then it would be here the 2 appearing. So let's change it back to 0. And now we also want to create here next to the text widget also a raised button. When we click on it, then this counter will increase. And therefore I put here an expanded around our text widget so that the text gets expanded and gets all the space. And here at the end, we want to add the raised button. So this is our button. And inside of this raised button, you can set a text. And the text of the raised button is increment, and then it will look like this. However, if you now click on it, nothing will happen. And to add also the functionality, if you click on this button, we need to implement the onPressed. And now if I hot reload, you see that it is here showing up, and you can also click on it. And every time if you click on it, we want to increment the counter. So I put here the counter ++, so this increments our counter. And now if I hot reload, you see that there are no changes because you also need to put here around the set state, and this will refresh our UI after we have incremented our counter. And now if I hot reload, you see that we have 12 because I clicked before 12 times on this button. And now every time I click here, the counter will increase. And with this one, you can basically change a text and simply put here the variable inside which should get updated. Back in our main file, we also can create here a text widget which is underlined, and therefore you go again to your text style, and here inside you have a decoration property, and there you simply put the text decoration to underline, And now if I hot reload, you see here a text and under it we have a line, so it is underlined. Let's also look at another example. So we create again another text object, and here inside of our text style we can add this decoration, and inside of it we can also put a text decoration line through, and this will simply cross out our text. So it is now crossed out, this text. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel here to get the latest news about Flutter, and see you soon. Bye!